Something I haven't seen very often here is to see high-rise buildings in fog. I never forget one time, probably in the 1980s, mid-80s, flying in to New York, internally in the United States, and the Twin Towers were peeping over cloud. Maybe about 10 or 12 floors of the Twin Towers were peeping over the clouds, and the entire city was enveloped in fog. It was a spectacular thing, and besides, because of the angle of the plane, it looked like the Twin Tower tops were actually at an angle. It was quite the sensation. So you can see here it rained a little bit. The wood is wet. I don't know, the camera didn't pick it up there for me. We're walking along the rooftop here of Notre Dame. I woke up a little bit late this morning. It was, as soon as I opened my eyes, I could tell the sun was already risen. So we missed those first moments. Wow, a lot of fog over there. You can't even see Ramallah. Sorry, the camera was too low. Normally in a clear day, Ramallah is visible. That's the auditorium here at Notre Dame. It was inaugurated by Pope John Paul II in the year 2000. Hosted a major interreligious meeting. The chief rabbi of Israel and Muslim leaders and Christian leaders. It's amazing. In some parts it's all very foggy, and other places then it's such powerful light coming from 93 million miles away. So this is our typical perch. Looking out on the city of Jerusalem on Holy Saturday morning. For our Jewish participants here this morning, this is the last day of Passover, which started on Saturday night, last Saturday night. In the Christian tradition, Saturday after Good Friday, Holy Saturday, is lived liturgically with the spirit of silence. In other words, there are no liturgical activities. Maybe the praying of psalms in the breviary. And even the Blessed Sacrament is kept hidden to experience that loss of Good Friday's happening, that incredible assault of humanity against the Word made flesh. Also entering into the time of the disciples, and we know how attached they were to Jesus, how close they were to Him, and what they would have felt completely shattered, absolutely downcast, filled with fear, incredibly sad, confused, and not just externally but in their own hearts that they were unfaithful. Conscious that from themselves a traitor had emerged, that they denied Him, their own leader, Peter, 3 times. Maybe they didn't all know that, but they all knew that they were absent. They fled. And they were trying to get reports from others, especially from the women, because the women were faithful. They stayed on the job. They stayed faithful. They didn't leave Christ alone. And in that dark morning for them, we can see them huddled, concerned. The leaders had requested Pilate to put a guard at the tomb. So there was tremendous tension in the air. I would say one way to get into the spirit of today would be to remember some experience you had with a family close to you or some friends. Maybe you were at college and a buddy of yours had died. In a car wreck, or maybe for a health reason or whatever. Especially if the person is young in the prime of life, then the close friends are gathered together with the family. And here's where Mary comes in, the mother of Jesus. And so the church on Holy Thursday or Holy Saturday has always pondered Mary. The first need would obviously be to look out for her. People always try to be helpful and supportive. In Ireland, they'd be making a warm tea. They'd give her space. A mother of a bereaved son. Son had died, bereaved mother. And then they would try to talk with her if she was in the mood to talk, to remember beautiful things from the past, or maybe just to keep silence It's part of the silence of Holy Saturday. The silence, the helplessness before death, the helplessness before such a violent death, where society's leaders, the Roman occupation army, and the religious leaders were completely involved in eliminating Jesus. And we're here over Jerusalem, overlooking Jerusalem. Maybe they gathered with their friends over in the upper room. Maybe some were with Martha, Mary, Lazarus over in Bethany behind the Mount of Olives, which is right beyond that high tower there. Just not even a mile beyond that is Bethany. So 20 minutes walking here from the Temple Mount. Maybe some of them were huddled in the Mount of Olives. There were a lot of disciples. But the core groups there were together. Mary Magdalene would be very close to Mary the mother. The women would be very close with her, trying to console her and just be there. Just be there. And it's important for us to delay at this moment. We can't rush to the news of the resurrection. It's good for our souls. You can't rush to a wedding at such a moment of such an accident. And there's so much to ponder, to look back on Jesus, like the disciples themselves would comment and teach and eventually write. And they would say, he only went around doing good. And this is what was done to him. And they were still not in the complete picture. It was a time of interior reckoning for them. You know, when somebody dies, it's tougher if you have something outstanding that you needed to do for that person. The account wasn't properly balanced, settled. I failed in some way. Notice the rooftops here, damp, wet, reflecting the light. You don't always see that. It's amazing. Look at the top of this building here, and you see a cross. The Church of the Savior. And then the Lutheran Church, just sitting lower on the top of the mast there of the pole, the flagpole, another cross. On the top of the Lutheran Church, another cross. On the top of the Holy Sepulchre, the big dome, a small cross, and on the Catholicon of the Greek Orthodox, a big cross. How many crosses around the world? On the mountaintops, in the buildings, and sitting atop our heart, tied with a little thong or a little chain to our neck, on our desk, on our walls. We need to spend time with the cross. What Jesus did for us. amazing. God loved the world so much that he gave his only son. He spared Abraham's son. Like two priests there, two religious priests walking along. I tried to get them earlier, but the camera was so zoomed in that I wasn't hitting them. The mystery of suffering and the incredible gift of salvation through suffering. The suffering itself doesn't give the salvation, but that comes from grace. But suffering is a path for humanity, and we recognize that with the cross. We call it Good Friday. It's amazing that we call that day Good Friday. God loved the world so much. And there we have the memory then of the tomb of Jesus, right here, under the big dome. And even the intended destruction has left sufficient. And I had the immense privilege of seeing that when it was cleared a couple of years ago for the strengthening of the little building over the tomb. We were hosting the archaeologists here at Notre Dame, and BBC asked me to go in to give them a report. So because of that connection with the Greek Orthodox Patriarchate, which was in charge of the renovations, I was able to go in, and the Franciscans were there, and very few people, and the whole place was covered in dust and tools, but I was able to see the bare limestone little table like structure. I'd love to take, when you come to Jerusalem sometime, we must talk about that, but it was an amazing experience to see the raw stone of the tomb where the body was laid. There's so many reflections to make. And the guards guarding the tomb. And then the women come the next morning to anoint the body. Who will roll back the stone? So they have spent all day Saturday thinking what they're going to do. They have their materials ready. The ones who said, I'll go with you, the other one said, I'll stay with Mary, the mother. What an incredible woman of faith. Let it be done unto me according to your word. And he will sit on the throne of David. And this woman full of grace, as the angel said, going through this incredible Calvary of her son. Unbelievable. How the mother can see, how the mother remembers. The link I put in for readings is the link for the Easter Vigil this evening, tonight. And there's an astounding selection of readings. There's an option, depending on circumstances, to do a number of them or to do them all. A total of 9 readings. There are 7 from the Hebrew Scriptures. Accompanied by 7 psalms. So I invite you today to spend this day very fruitfully, spiritually. There's nobody on this planet that's not loved by God. That's one of the biggest statements of Good Friday. There's no case so terrible that hope can be given up. We know that song, Everybody Hurts. Sometime everybody hurts. Hold on, don't let go. Everybody hurts. And to think today about the people that are hurting and hurting the most, and to go with them in prayer, for starters, because God is the one who gives the ultimate consolation, but also to go with them with an email, with a message, with a phone call, a visit, an invitation, to be close. Do not leave them alone. They are not alone, because God never abandons anybody, not even people on death row at their last moment. And we can express that love God has for everyone. A lot of people are living their own Holy Saturday. Let's be with them like the other disciples gathered together. And that's a huge blessing for them and a huge blessing for us to enter into that part of humanity. Actually, the readings are a very powerful help in this regard. And, it starts off with Genesis and works all the way through the history of salvation. I invite you to go there and start preparing maybe in the afternoon. But right now, spend the time with the suffering, with the hurting, those who hurt today. So I would say goodbye for now. God bless you. See you later, alligators. Be blessed today. Greetings from Jerusalem. Thank all of you for all your support in sharing and connecting others to this wonderful experience of entering into the mystery of redemption. And practical note, somebody else told me yesterday that they were also approached by this person who had intruded in privacy, and that person already has left. I think that person realized and heard my little talk yesterday at the live stream, and therefore decided not to continue. So we're all one community, helping each other, and I appreciate your help in that way, so that this platform can be, and the other platforms, Instagram and YouTube, can be safe spaces, good spaces where we help each other and look out for each other if somebody is sending bad stuff, or alert me and we can block anybody that's interfering with the purpose of what we're trying to do here. God bless you. See you later, alligators.